All right, welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I am your host, Timothy James Lyons Jr. in the studio, joined by Randy Inkston. What's up, man?
W. Randall William Inkston Jr.
William?
James
my name's over here. James.
Very colonial, it's always seemed. Randall William. Sir William Wallace.
Got it. Well, good episode for y'all today. This is something I've realized really quickly over the last, I don't know, let's just say I've started hit me 2 years-ish ago, and I didn't make much of it.
Probably because you're already there, but...
Well, it was all these other things. And then finally, as we get into working with the Iron Circle gym owners, and you know, this is it's very clear to me. This is the one thing that's keeping gym owners from getting out of their business and scaling operations, and that's having a second in command.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons why there's no second in command in a lot of these facilities. However, let's talk about a couple stories here first that it really hits home.
Sure.
Right. We have a gym owner in the Iron Circle who's got a daughter that's out of state in college, right? And his whole mission in life is to get this gym to run itself and not be involved and be there when he wants to, shake hands, kiss babies, high fives, and leave. And this is like a pretty similar goal across a lot of gyms. Talking to another gym owner in Canada yesterday.
Yeah.
He goes, I want to just come in, shake a couple of hands, be the face of the operation, but like then be able to go shoot content and do a podcast and do all these other things. And so that's a pretty common goal.
Yeah.
What happened while this gym owner was out visiting his daughter, he got a call. No, he got an email. He got an email from his coach resigning.
Oh.
One of his main coaches. He does a lot of one-on-one stuff, so there was a lot of personal
touch there.
Yeah, personal, relationships with their clients and stuff. And he had to cut his vacation short to come kind of save the operation. And when he came back, he realized that he needed to get rid of this guy now. It wasn't like a 2-week thing. He got to get rid of him now. And what happened is, next thing you know, the gym owner is forced back on the training floor. He's trying to save his clients from leaving. He's, training sun up to sundown. He's picking up all that shift plus everything else he was doing. And that's pretty dang common, where you lose a coach and you get pushed right back onto the delivery. And one of the biggest mistakes gym owners make is there's not enough layers of insulation between them and the delivery of the product.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one director or one number two or one coach isn't enough. You need at least 2, if not 3. And so the way kind of we've designed it here, we've got our fitness director, Zach. Everybody's heard us talk about Zach Columbi. He's been on the show a lot. He's been with me for, probably 7 years at this point. But if he goes out of town or goes on an elk hunt with his father, we have a coach that steps up. I don't step down.
Sure.
We have a coach that steps up. And that's another missing piece that I'm seeing in a lot of these operations, where the gym owner just cannot get out of the operation. They are just dragged back in. They don't have any redundancy in roles.
There you go.
They don't have backup plans or any of this stuff. And so the way that we operate here is, while we have 4 personal trainers, fitness coaches that facilitate the deal, if one of them leaves or goes on vacation or is sick, we work between the other 3 to back up shift. If that's not possible, then Zach fills in down.
Sure.
He goes down. But then again, if Zach goes on an elk hunt, then one of the coaches steps up to do sales consultations.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, obviously, in a lot of corporate structures, you see that you kind of start to train for the next position. You start to, and that's really how kind of progression in any of those businesses should work. We don't want to keep people stuck where they're at, and we definitely don't want them moving backwards. To the tune of as little as we can, but start training those coaches up. Start giving them responsibilities in the business, or the understanding of, right? It, like you said, it's redundancy. Right. Yep. And then a good org chart can help, solidify that, right? Where people know, in the event that this happens, this is, who's in charge and whose roles and responsibilities those things shift to.
Yeah.
But it kind of rolls up to a system. You know what I mean?
Rolls to a system, but then, the gym owner always puts themselves in that role. dealing with a brand new gym owner yesterday. He came out from North Carolina. We were walking through the gym. We came to Legacy Personal Training. He wanted to check out the facility, meet me, whatever. And a lot of what we were talking about was, well, I can do this. And, he was the plan B. Like his own time was the plan B. I'm like, maybe at first, of course. But like, you got to not have that mindset. You shouldn't be the one doing this. Gym owners, if you want to scale, if you want to not resent your business after years of being in business where you just don't feel like going in today, you got to work yourself out to a point to where your systems and operations run the facility, but you can go back in if you wanted to.
Yeah, choice.
That's the thing, right? The choice, the freedom to choose to go back in because, you know what? I like training that 9 a.m. crew. They're blast. I've been training them for 10 years. I just can't wait to see them tomorrow morning. I'm going to go do that. Fine. Absolutely. Do that. But to cut your vacation short, visiting your daughter out of state, your coach resigned, no backup plan, and then for the next 2 to 3 weeks, you're 40, 50 hours training. That's not a good plan.
No. And I mean, a lot of it goes back to, I'll never forget our conversation with Mike McAllowitz, right? Like if something's happening, if there's fulfillment in the business, if you're looking to bring something in, you said it with mindset. You have to be the type of owner that has the mindset and the understanding that you have to position that responsibility on somebody or a system in the business. That's how that's how fulfillment has to happen. And
not on you.
Not on you. And the gym owner that was touring the place, he's pre-open. He's going to be opening his facility. And I'm glad that some of that stuff came up because we're going to have to break that type of mentality if we want him to truly be successful.
Right.
For those listening, obviously, some of you guys are going to be like, well, there's not always the luxury or the option. I can't always pay somebody. We're not saying that when you have to and when your business is not in the position to be able to pay somebody or a system to do it, that the burden isn't on you. In the interim, it is. But that should be your first option. You should be building that business to get out of that position and start to instill the responsibility in those others, hire for those purposes, and have that game plan for ascending the team into the business and not just, using yourself as that kind of fallback.
Stopgap.
Yeah, because we know it. How many gym owners, hell, with the thousands that we've talked to, it's always, what's your job? What's your daily responsibilities? Oh, I'm here putting out fires every day. Well, that's not growing a business. You need to be future focused. You need to be future pacing and deciding how we're going to grow this business as a team, and then put those, the bulk of that fulfillment on the team.
Yeah,
and it has to be that way. I think that's a big differentiator for gyms that reach a level of success, and those that just kind of pound their head against the wall every month trying to figure out how to get more leads. You know what I mean? Because
it's a hamster wheel or rat race, whatever you want to call it. Big time, because they'll never, you'll never find yourself ever unshackled from the operation ever. And look, I get it, guys. I had to figure this out. For me, the mindset was pretty simple. Going into this business back in 2009, I wasn't a personal trainer to start. I played college football and I lived in the weight room. That I love fitness, but I didn't come into this fitness industry to have a job to train clients. In fact, I don't even enjoy training clients. I don't have enough patience to train clients. Although I did when I had to. But my whole focus was a business from day one. And that's the difference between me and many of even in the Iron Circle. Like I talked to Jerry and Casey Washak. They were both trainers first. John Farkas, he was a trainer first. And so like for them to open up multiple gyms, that's just like what they want to do. And me, I'm the opposite, right? I'm like, one gym's cool. But I don't look at the gyms as the vehicle for wealth. We've talked about it. So we do other stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at another place. I just sent you.
Other places to spend those profits and
spend the profits. And so what we've done as an Iron Circle is we've dropped a huge deal on everybody last week, and the entire Iron Circle mastermind is blowing up about it.
Yeah.
I'm almost afraid to share it because next thing you know, other people will be doing this, but like, whatever. What else is new?
Have at it.
We created a director circle. What is that? A director circle. So I've put Zach Columbia in charge of training our entire Iron Circle gym networks number twos.
Yep.
Training them up. He's got a book called Directing Fitness, guys. If you have a number two or you're looking to create a number two, go buy his book because that's written by him. Like I didn't write that. He wrote that, and it's his standpoint and his vision of what this role should be through the lens of what I would want, right? And so the entire Iron Circle is going crazy about like, oh my gosh, we get to put our number twos in here, get them trained up, because it's a really interesting thing because unless you have a really good relationship on a personal level with your number two, a lot of that stuff is taboo to speak about. The finances, how much you personally make, how much you're taking out of the business versus what everybody else is making. It's like, I had a conversation with another one in our Iron Circle. In fact, this whole podcast is about stories about about us working with gyms, right? He goes, you know, I haven't ever talked about what I make out of this business because I'm worried about what they're going to think.
How they're going to look at you.
And he was like, how did you get Zach to understand that? And I was like, you know, that was his mindset. It's different. He's like, you should be making as much as possible out of here.
We've had that conversation too. I mean, I think that there's a couple things about that, but the mindset keeps coming back. So the mindset of both the owner as well as the fitness director, you have to be in sync. You know, you have to have, at the end of the day, one of the qualities that Zach really brings to the table is he understands the purpose of the business, right? He says himself, right? His role is tying fitness to the business. And at the end of the day, in order to grow a business, you need to put more money in the bank. That's what happens. That's the purpose of the business. And so with just that understanding and that mindset, you know, he's got the power and the tools and the desire to go make those things happen. And so I think, you know, with the understanding too, though, is as the opportunity, or as that grows, so does his opportunity within the organization. And so does it's like a trickle down effect, right? And so he can embrace that, and he knows that there's something in it for him as the you know, that continues to grow and prosper. But the mindset of the owner, one of the things I wanted to mention too was, if you think that nobody in your business can do it as well as you need to get the hell out of that seat. And they're that mindset. You need to start training those people up in those roles. Like, that's opportunity. It's not a detriment. And I think a lot of gym owners find themselves stuck, you know, programming. Oh, I got to keep that on my plate. That's like the most important thing. That's what we bring to the table. Well, it's our
special sauce.
Yeah, but it's probably limiting your potential, and it's probably holding you in those four walls of your business, as opposed to being able to ascend as the owner of a business and bring others with you. And that's really what that's about. Is it's not you versus them. It's us as a team all progressing forward in one big direction.
Us versus them is a mindset that a lot of gym owners have. And it mostly comes from the employees' attitudes, honestly. The employees, the staff, the team, feeling like it's me versus them, like they're holding me down versus, you know, I guess it's just communication. Honestly, it needs to come from you as the gym owner. We need to speak and talk about the vision of the business. We're pretty clear, at least at the profit level, what's going to happen next year. It's exciting, but there is no real training for the number twos unless it's coming from the owner themselves. And that's why we created it, right? Yeah. We created this path. There's a director training now. And we're starting with the Iron Circle. But those of you listening, this is going to open up to everybody. This is going to be any gym owner that wants to train their second in command. It's a year-long training program. It's got a curriculum. I've seen it all. It's freaking amazing. And I don't know where he finds the time to do half of this shit, but he does it. And he's fired up. Like, he's super excited. And the directors are fired up. There's over 27 of them in there. 28 people. Yep. Excuse me. So who's your number two? If you don't have a number two, guess what? You're never going to be able to get out of there. It's just, here's the stark reality of the task at hand. somebody's got to do the job. A human being's got to do the job. It's either going to be you as the owner of the operation or it's going to be somebody else. That's it. Mm-hmm. So who's going to do the job? It's up to you as the owner to decide, I'm doing it, therefore I can't leave this operation, or we train somebody to pop in there and take the role. Then you can move out, frees up time, okay? Doesn't free up finances, it frees up time. So what do you do with that time?
You multiply.
You multiply it, right? You multiply the revenue that you can make with your own time. And everybody that's listening is thinking about, okay, I've got to pay this person something, and it's going to be more than a regular coach. And the way I look at that, there's two ways I look at it. Number one, the first way is if I pay somebody, let's just throw an arbitrary number out there. Somebody's making 40 grand and we're going to move them to 60 grand. There's a $20,000 difference. So by putting them in this role, there's more responsibilities. They're going to get a $20,000 increase. With the time that I'm saving, can I make more than $20,000 with the new time I've had?
As the owner.
As the owner.
Mm-hmm.
And typically that should be absolutely. If I pay Zach $50,000 more, but it keeps me from being in that seat and I can go make $2 million because of that, he gets 50 grand. Well, it is what it is.
It's an ROI. It's an ROI. I mean, and that's exactly what it comes down to is the work has to be done, like you said. And the unfortunately, so many gym owners that we spoke to they can't grasp the idea of putting somebody else in that role and giving up the authority or giving them the pay, at the expense. Like it's a chicken and the egg. I mean, you have to put the system in place before it's going to give you the opportunity. But the greatest thing as a business owner that you can do for yourself is give yourself more time. It's a one finite resource. Like it's not like money. Money comes and goes. We can create more wealth, right? But the time is the thing that we really struggle for. And I mean, this whole conversation goes back to one of our foundational beliefs is to get in that business owner role and out of that self-employed seat from, Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrants. And that's a fundamental belief of what we coach to. It's a fundamental belief of how we operate, both organizations over here is getting the right pieces of the puzzle in place so that the owner has a benefit outside of trading time for money. Yep. When that can happen, you finally ascended into that business owner role. And it doesn't mean you kick up, put your feet up. I mean, I guess you kind of have the option of it, but most gym owners that we know, that's not the desire to go put their feet up and hit cruise control, right? Mm-hmm. It's your time is then spent on higher income producing activities. And maybe it is outside of the gym. Maybe it's in the gym and you're forecasting, the next year's marketing plays, or you're working on, how to continue to grow the beast without having to trade your time for money. That's
maybe
what it comes
it's another
down to.
Business.
Yeah.
Maybe it's another operation, another gym.
Yep.
We can talk about what I think of the gym of the future looks like later. But the point is time. Go multiply that.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. It's pretty simple, but it's very hard to do.
Correct.
It's simple, but it's difficult, I guess, if that's even possible.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's conceptually, I mean, everybody's probably nodding their heads like, oh yeah. Oh, I could do that. Oh yeah. Or then you go and you show up on Monday, you're like, oh, how the hell do I make this happen?
Well, when you end up doing this, everything comes from like, so this came up like, hey, who do the emails come from now? Well, it come from Zach. Mm-hmm. We did a holiday letter. Zach signed it. I didn't sign it.
Yeah.
The team, well, actually the whole team signed it. I didn't sign it. I wrote it. And he tweaked it. And then so like the face is not the owner anymore. And that's going to be very hard for
I was going to say that might be a hit to the ego, right, initially, but
it's funny. We have a good friend of ours years ago that had his name on the business.
Yeah.
Frank Nash, a good friend of ours. And he realized, after probably 10 years in business, he had to change his whole model, took Frank Nash out of it. I think he's definitely still involved quite a bit, but he probably doesn't train any clients anymore. And it's like half the members here don't know who Tim Lyons is. Mm-hmm. I mean, they may see me and say hi and like they don't really ever work with me.
Well, it reminds me of the story when Rick Mayo mentioned, he went back to his gym and they had changed the locks.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even get into his own gym.
Set the alarm off.
Yeah.
He's like, oh boy.
Isn't that the true ascension? But that's what it is. If you're growth focused, if you're thinking about what comes next, it's not a choice of how many clients can I go train this month to make myself more money as a gym owner. It's never going to, you're done. Like you're probably in that business today or have been at one point. If you want more, you have to do, if you want something different, you have to do something different.
Yeah.
And that you got to break that cycle. And the hard part is, it is, you got to wrap your mind around it. You have to figure out how to execute to get those things to happen. But ultimately, this is the big shift that's going to take you from where you are today to a place that you've never even thought possible.
Yeah.
And we're watching it, and we see it every day in the Iron Circle.
I think 24 with the director circle and getting all these directors trained up to then take the roles over from the owners is going to free up so much more time. There's going to be so much more growth outside. Maybe it's multiple locations, and that's a very common one for a lot of the owners of the Iron Circle, but it's going to be really cool to see what happens because now finally they've got somebody trained up that then moves them up, that pops the owner out of the operation, and then it's limitless from there. So.
And this isn't theory. I mean, we can literally use example after example. And one of my favorite examples is how many of our gym owners in the Iron Circle, whether they've been in with us for 6 months, a year, 3 years, they're seasoned gym owners. Some of these have been in the industry for 10, 15, had their gyms for 8, 10, 12, 15 years, and they're finally taking the first vacation.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying, not just like, not just a long weekend, but like 3 weeks out of the country, 2 weeks, traveling Europe. Like these are things, and not bringing their phone and the problems of the gym, quote unquote, with them. You know what I mean? Like they're able to literally differentiate their time and separate because they've got somebody in the role manning in the operation with the same focus and desire to grow the business. They understand what levers they can pull. They have full, authority to make the decisions as an owner would for the most part. And that's what it takes. If you want that level of freedom as a business owner, you need to instill what it takes to give yourself that option. And it's never going to happen by being the guy on the training floor.
Yep, that's the truth. All right, well, I think we've got that. Hopefully that message hits and resonates. You got a brand new year. The calendar's flipping. What are you going to do about it, right? What are you going to do? So hopefully that helps you guys, gets wheels turning, and hopefully make big moves in 24. If you need help, you know where to find us. That's it for this episode. Until next time, keep changing lives. See you on the next show. Bye.
All right, and thank you for listening to that episode of the Built to Grow podcast, where we help gym owners win. Now, do you want to connect with me and other gym owners online? All you need to do is join our private Facebook group, Business Talk with Fitness Professionals. Just head on over to Facebook and type in Business Talk with Fitness Professionals. And when you do, we're going to give you our 10 marketing strategies 7-figure gym owners use to win. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Until then, keep building something great.